Hi, welcome to my channel about robotics, physiotechnique and embedded systems. This video is focused on my Raspberry Pi 3, which I previously used as controller to a self-built PLC. However, that is over, and recently I checked Bluetooth, which was a disappointment. I also checked audio in the second video, which I can't set public, but via my website and via YouTube you can still access it. And in the last video, number 3, I checked audio, recording and playing, with some side effects which I don't like. So what I'm going to do in this video is exploring video and camera, because, well, you have to record something to show, and with this HDMI cable you should be able to use a display other than via VNC, I mean virtual network computing. Anyway, let's take a look via the VNC, the virtual network computing, how things could work out. And while I have my setup for the VNC recording ready with this visiting camera pointed at the Raspberry Pi, I realized that the perfect way to show the external monitor is by using this camera. And well, first view is then of course the HDMI to DVI cable, but then we're talking about this monitor, which is not showing anything but the sign no video input. And then, well, what to do? Well, not much actually, except for pressing input and then realizing that it says either automatic VGA or DVI. Well, this is the, let me point at the cable again, that is obviously a DVI output with the HDMI input, which has been in use before with a very different video or series of videos on my BeagleBoard, where I've used it extensively. And even then the quality of the image was not very good. Sometimes really good, and then over time it decayed. So I think that the cable is due to this problem. So despite it being connected, not giving an image, and the point is also that when you set it up first, and then I of course mean the Raspberry Pi with the cable, then the very first image is not VNC, but it is the external monitor, which it doesn't do anything, and hasn't done since I've ever put this up. So that said, I can just as well shut the monitor down and pull out the cable, because it's no use. So how am I going to use the Raspberry Pi camera, which I have to yet disconnect from another Raspberry Pi? Well, via VNC obviously. So unless I get myself another HDMI to DVI cable, this is a no-go. So after that, now screencast with VNC, trying to do raspicam to see if I could get the HDMI to work, but to no avail. Then SSH screen for getting into the Raspberry Pi after booting to enable the VNC server. Quite obviously the camera pointed to the Raspberry Pi, but no Raspberry Pi camera yet. So next step is to transfer it, and I have only one, so I'm going to take it off of the Raspberry Pi. What you can see now is that the camera is already activated, which is a bit odd because I didn't actually activate it in the configuration, which I have to do right now. So let's see where I have to do it. System options. No. Display. Not. Interface. Camera. Yes. Would you like the camera interface to be enabled? Yes. Enabled. Finish. This means that I should now have access to raspicam and raspberry. Do they actually do anything? That's interesting. I'll have to find out, because on the other Raspberry Pi where I took this camera from, they were activated. They did work. So maybe I'm doing it wrong. But here things... No, so I'll have to find that out. So it turns out to be a little bit different than I recall from the other Raspberry Pi. I have to use lip camera dash still and then use an output. So let's see how this works out. It says fail. What do I have here? Nothing. Unless there's something in videos or pictures. Nothing. So that's a bit of a disappointment then. It is trying to get several modes and then no buffers available for ISP output. And then dropping frame. It could be that that is something to do with memory. The available memory from this Raspberry Pi, which is not plenty. So let's just see how much memory it does have. Yeah, 1 gigabyte memory. Not very much. But would that really be the cause of this to fail? I'll have to find out once again. As it turns out, I am not mistaken at all. I used to use like this command, raspistill or raspivid. Now, a still is a silent picture, a vid is obviously a video, but those commands don't work here on this one anymore. And why? Simple reason. This is Raspberry Pi OS and not anymore the old version of Raspbian Linux. Raspbian Linux used both, so raspivideo and raspistill and lib camera, camera lib. So this command here with Raspberry Pi OS will not work. So I can't recall now if on the old Raspberry Pi I also installed Raspberry Pi OS, but if so, I have to recode everything I did with the camera. And then the question is, will it still work since it doesn't work on here? Interesting question, but as right now I have to find out if I can get this to work anyway. One test with the roll extension, so that is like this, 2 seconds and then output testment roll, dot roll, and it has actually created a 20 megabyte raw file. So the question is, will this actually show it? Could not find the codec, identify the codec. So this is impossible to do, which is very unfortunate. Can I code anything in a different way or display it in a different way? If I do it with vid, lip camera, test dot, I don't know, maybe this, failed. So the only way to test it is using this one, but the question is, what could I use using roll, because that obviously does work. And yes, you've seen, by the way, that I'm using the Fish Technique stand for the camera. So I suppose that part of this cable will be recorded, and then I have to be very careful with the rest. So apart from the cable, it won't record anything, except now I think a very large image. So maybe I'm lucky if I can get to see whatever this is making do. 640 by 480, so not very much. And test.roll says, yeah, 21 megabytes, but how to play it, that's a good one. And I've come to a disappointing conclusion. On the internet it says that clearly, as I stated before, that the Raspberry and the raspicam are no longer functioning. So there's lip camera, but it turns out that lip camera is not functioning correctly with Raspberry Pi 0 to 3, and this is 3. From and up to a certain version, which I think to have, because this error is very common, indicating that it doesn't work. So I may really hope that this camera is still working when I put it back on the Raspberry Pi 1, but on the Raspberry Pi 3 I can forget it. So what use is the Raspberry Pi 3 so far? Except for using the GPIO, I have no clue. Maybe when I have this fixed, but what uses using a separate monitor when I use VNC? I don't know. Anyway, this experiment is a definite fail, and I can't fix it yet. So with that conclusion, I thank you for watching. If you like this video anyway, please do subscribe to my channel, give the video a thumbs up, click the bell for notification. Please leave a comment or suggestion under the video, very much appreciated. You can support via PayPal, Ko-fi, by becoming a patron. Please take a look at my website for many more projects and other videos and pictures. I'm trying to get this continued, and if this is not being continued, then please follow my other videos. For now, have a great day, stay safe, take care, bye.